election, many delegates are distributed on a proportional basis on the Democratic side. And that means if there are 3 or more viable candidates in the race after Super Tuesday, there will almost certainly be a brokered convention, and a bitter one. That is very bad news for Democrats. The people who thought they ran the Democratic Party here in Washington are starting to figure that out, and they're upset.
There's a certain part of the Democratic Party that wants us to be a cult. I'm not interested in being in a cult. Some people in this country want a revolution. They want disruption. You know, I don't know what, you know, they scream at people. They go and bully people. And I don't know how you win an election. That's 78 years old, standing up screaming in a microphone about the revolution. But you got to give people an alternative.
Yeah. So at the end, you heard what it's really about. Their main fear is Bernie Sanders. Now, rich liberals will put up with almost any amount of social engineering, in case you haven't noticed. Non-binary bathrooms, check. Woke self-abasement, fine. But they tend to be completely humorless on the subject of money, especially when it means handing over some of their money to the people below them. They're not into it at all. They get hysterical and they start ranting about public executions.
I have my own views of the word socialist, and I'll be glad to share them with you in private. And they go back to the early 1950s. I have an attitude about them. I remember the Cold War. I have an attitude towards Castro. I believe if Castro and the Reds had won the Cold War, there would have been executions in Central Park, and I might have been one of the ones getting executed. And certain other people would be there cheering, okay? So I have a problem with people who took the other side. I don't know who Bernie supports over these years. I don't know what he means by social. One week it's Denmark. We're going to be like Denmark. Okay, that's harmless. That's basically a capitalist country with a lot of good social welfare programs. Denmark is harmless.
He's pretty clearly in the Denmark
category, yeah. Are you sure? How do you know? Did he tell you that?
Stop Bernie. That is the focus right now. In Democratic circles in Washington, that's really all they're thinking about. They fear Bernie more than Trump. But the question is, how do they stop him? It is still a democracy, after all. Probably not with Amy Klobuchar. So that leaves 2 former mayors to get the job done, one of a mid-sized Midwestern town, the other of America's largest city. Now, a lot of donors in New York and Los Angeles would rather go with the former, Pete Buttigieg, formerly of South Bend. For one thing, he was never a Republican, unlike Mike Bloomberg. But there are questions about Pete Buttigieg. The main one is not, can he become president? The main one is he actually human? Does he leave footprints? Has he ever cast a shadow? Or is this so-called Pete Buttigieg exactly what he appears to be, a corporate hologram designed by the HR department at Google for instructional purposes? Well, who knows? But it's possible that AI is now so sophisticated that we're looking at our first robotic presidential candidate. You'll notice, for example, not to be a conspiracy nut, but it's true, every word Buttigieg utters is perfectly synchronized with the official view from Silicon Valley and the finance world. Now, what are the chances of that occurring in nature? This may be the new frontier in automation, ladies and gentlemen. The other candidates clearly don't know what to make of the whole thing. Biden took the first swing at Buttigieg in a nasty new television ad. When Joe Biden calls you unaccomplished, it stings.
When President Obama called on him, Joe Biden helped lead the passage of the Affordable Care Act, which gave health care to 20 million people. And when parkgoers called on Pete Buttigieg, he installed decorative lights under bridges, giving citizens of South Bend colorfully illuminated rivers. Under threat of a nuclear Iran, Joe Biden helped to negotiate the Iran deal. And under threat of disappearing pets, Buttigieg negotiated lighter licensing regulations on pet chip scanners.
Okay, Joe Biden, but can we be honest for one moment? Which would you actually rather have, an Iran deal or a chip scanner that helped find your lost dog? I mean, really. It's an interesting question anyway. Biden left it unanswered. Nevertheless, at Friday's debate, the other candidates followed his lead and pushed a similar theme. Watch.
We have a newcomer in the White House, and look where it got us. I think having some experience is a good thing.
We need people with experience. That's why I'm worried about Mayor Pete. You need to be able to go toe-to-toe with this guy and take him down on the debate stage, or we're going to lose.
Unlike some of the folks up here, I don't have 40 billionaires, Pete, contributing to my campaign. Coming from the pharmaceutical industry, coming from Wall Street.
I don't think any billionaire ought to be able to do it, and I don't think people who suck up to billionaires in order to fund their campaigns ought to do it.
Says the lady who just got off a private plane the other day. But the whole thing seems a little unfair if you think about it for a minute. There was Tom Steyer, who is currently suffering through one of the worst midlife crises in recorded history. He's never been elected to anything and never will be. Attacking Pete Buttigieg for not being accomplished enough? Irony is definitely dead. On the other hand, so is Pete Buttigieg's presidential campaign, no matter what they're claiming on television. Buttigieg is too fake. He's too unnervingly programmed. He's not going to win. And anyway, if you're looking for a tiny, finance-friendly former mayor, we've already got one for you, who, by the way, has tens of billions of dollars to spend on the race. Let's be honest. The Democratic contest, as of tonight, is now between Mike Bloomberg and Bernie Sanders. That's a disaster for Democrats. The party can either nominate Bernie and go full socialist, or steal the nomination from Bernie and face some sort of real cataclysm at the convention in Milwaukee and beyond Milwaukee. Those are the options. Either way, the Democratic Party will never be the same after tomorrow, not even close. The past is officially over for the Democrats.